Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of The Bolder Woman on Wisp Sports. I'm Alex Rotas, and at Wisp Sports, we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage.
Every week, I add maybe 1.25 kilos to my squat, and to my bench press, I might add even less. And you can see the weights gradually going up. And so it's very motivating because you've got a very clear metric to see what's going on.
You've put your courage to the test, laid all your doubts to rest. Your mind is clearer than before, your heart is full and wanting more, your future's at the door. Give it all you got, no hesitating, you've been waiting all your life.
My guest today is Catherine Walter, 72, and she's a world champion powerlifter. She holds the world records for the squat, deadlift, and bench press for her age and weight categories. And yet she only started lifting weights 7 years ago, age 65. So why did she start? Was it with becoming world champion and with world domination in mind? No, she simply felt she was getting unfit. She didn't have the time to go to a gym 5 times a week and was worried about a possible downward decline in fitness with age. Chatting with one of her sons, he suggested she try lifting heavy weights just for a few reps. He said it was actually much better than doing cardio training, and also she wouldn't have to do it that often, and that sounded pretty good. Because I should add at this point that Catherine is also a full-time academic at Oxford University. So let's fast forward then to the world records and championships she's held within such a short time. Catherine holds World Drug-Free Powerlifting Federation records for the 58.5 kilogram bodyweight class in the women's Masters 7 class. That means 70 to 75 years of age. For the unequipped squat, bench press and deadlift. And for the full power event, in which all 3 lifts are performed on the same day, Catherine, I'm going to have to ask you to talk us through these terms in a minute. She's been 3 times national champion and 3 times world champion in her class in the full power championships. In 2018, she was the top woman lifter over the age of 40 and the second woman lifter overall in the World Drug-Free Powerlifting Full Power Championships. She's ranked 3rd in the all-time British Drug-Free Powerlifting Association rankings for all women lifters over the age of 40, and that's for someone over the age of 70. Significantly, at 72, Catherine has the bone density of a 21-year-old. Now, I'm going to repeat that. At 72, Catherine has the bone density of someone of 21. That is truly incredible. She hopes to encourage others of her generation to start lifting and to counteract the deterioration that happens to our muscles and bones as we age. Well, I'm absolutely in her generation, and I'd love to do more to prevent this decline myself. So, Catherine, hi, welcome to The Bolder Woman, and thank you for agreeing to talk to us. I'm really excited to learn more.
Well, it's a great pleasure. Hello, and thank you for having me.
Can you start by unpacking some of those terms, because they're a bit of a mouthful? Why do we have to have drug-free in it all? Why does that come into it?
As you know, lots of sports have problems with performance-enhancing drugs. In the last Olympics, several of the people who won medals had their medals taken away from them once the drug tests were done. So it's really important for me to belong to a federation where I'm competing against other clean athletes. And the World Drug-Free Powerlifting Federation, of which the British Drug-Free Powerlifting Association is a part, is the strictest federation with regard to drug taking. We test more people. The penalties are much more severe if you are found even inadvertently having taken a small amount of a performance-enhancing drug. That's why.
That's the case for all sports, isn't it? I'm just wondering why it's got to be in the title. Do you think it's because with powerlifting there was a lot of drug misuse?
Yes. There are a lot of federations that don't test at all. And some of the bigger federations do test, but don't impose very strict penalties when people are tested positive. So you can take a serious performance-enhancing drug and just get a 2-year ban and then stop taking it a little bit before you decide to join the federation again, and Bob's your uncle.
And this holds true right through all the age groups. I mean, people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s are still getting tested for drugs.
Absolutely. I consider it an honor when I'm tested at a competition because it means they're saying, holy cow, that old woman lifted that much?
I love it. That's brilliant. So could you also explain a bit about the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift?
Okay, well, all of these are lifts that are done with a bar and weights on the bar. In the squat, the bar starts on a rack at about your shoulder height. You walk up to the rack, put your head under, put the bar on your back, walk back, squat down until your thighs are parallel to the floor, and stand up again. And then walk back to the rack and replace the bar. That's the squat. In the bench press, you're lying on your back. The bar is on a rack sort of a little bit behind your head. You take it off the rack, let it go down to your chest, and then you push it back up until your arms are straight again. And then you put it back on the rack. And the deadlift is really simple. The bar is not on the ground because the weights are holding it up off the ground, but it's just a little bit off the ground. And you just lean over and pick it up and straighten up and then put it back down again.
So powerlifting, is that just the right way to talk about what someone might call weightlifting?
Think of powerlifting as a kind of weightlifting. Olympic weightlifting is different. Olympic weightlifting has 2 lifts called the snatch and the clean and jerk, and they are different lifts from the lifts I've been talking to you about. As an older person, I've not been very interested in doing those lifts because you're a little bit prone to injury with those lifts. And powerlifting is the sport in which you have the least chance of injury of any sport. If you think about it, right up there at the top are things like soccer. What are people doing in soccer, or what the British call football? They're running fast and turning and tearing their cruciate ligaments. They're bumping into one another at speed. They're falling over and hitting their heads. All you're doing in the gym when you're powerlifting is picking stuff up and putting it down. Any injuries you get are probably because you're not being careful and you drop a weight on your foot when you're loading the bar. It's not anything to do with the actual exercise.
How come? That's very counterintuitive.
Well, if you can't lift it, you've got people there who are helping you. You don't lift anything heavy without a spotter. They stay with you. So when I'm squatting, I have at least one person on each side of me. And if I start to have trouble, they gently accompany me to help me finish my lift. Or if I really get into trouble, they take the bar. Also, when you squat, you have safety rails on the side. So even if you're squatting on your own, if you start to fail the lift, you can just go down and drop the bar and it'll stay on the safety rails and you're beneath the rails. For the bench press, that's a lift you should never do without a spotter if you're lifting anything near your maximum weight, because you need somebody to help you if you start getting into trouble. Either someone who's behind you who can help you push the bar up by putting both hands under the bar and helping you, or one person on each side. Deadlift is not so bad. You drop it. It's on the ground, the end. But it can't go on your foot.
How did you start? Did you just start in a kind of regular gym, or did you go to a dedicated?
In most of my life, I've had to work hard and sort of pay more in time and effort to get something than might have been usual. But this time, everything just was handed to me on a platter. After my son had that talk with me, I thought, hey, there's a librarian in the education department at the university who's a weightlifting coach. Maybe I should go talk to him. So I went and waited until there was nobody else in the library and sidled up to the desk and said, "Am I too old for this gig?" And he said, "No, well, there's only one way to find out. And you're very lucky because your college has the best weights area in the collegiate university." So we went and we started, and I loved it. That was in May 2012. And by October, I was sure that I was really going to keep doing this and that I wanted to share it with other women. So I started a club, which my college is a postgraduate college of the University of Oxford called Lineker College. And so we decided to call ourselves the Lineker Ladies That Lift. And we started out with 4 people in May 2012. We now meet twice a week, every week of the year, unless Christmas falls on a Wednesday. And we have 15 women each session, and usually a waiting list.
How would you suggest to somebody else of our sort of age that if they wanted to get started, presumably not to just go round to the leisure centre?
One thing you might do is to buy a fantastic book, I get no commission, by someone called Miriam Nelson. Miriam Nelson is a researcher at Harvard, and she has worked with women in care homes aged between 65 and 90 to get them to lift heavy weights, as heavy as they can initially and then gradually increasing. And she has increased the bone density of these women in that way. And she's written a book called Strong Women Stay Young. It's got the explanation of why it's useful for people our age and for women especially to lift heavy weights. And at the back, it's got some exercises you can do at home. So if people want to start in that way, they can start at home. But more and more women are lifting weights now, and you've got a better and better chance of finding a local gym where you've got a sympathetic, good coach who will teach you. There are Facebook groups such as, I'm sorry, it slipped my mind, but it'll come to me later and I'll tell you. You can ask on the Facebook group, does anybody know a local gym in Akron, Ohio, or wherever you are? And women on that group will usually be able to find you a gym that is sympathetic and that will help you with your work.
You just said about these people in care homes who were between 65 and, 90 plus, that their bone density was actually increasing. I didn't think it was possible to reverse your bone density, but clearly it is.
Absolutely. It is possible to increase both your bone density and your muscle strength. People over the age of 40 begin to suffer from sarcopenia. Everybody does, unless they do strength building exercises. Sarcopenia is muscle strength loss. And the only way to prevent sarcopenia and make your muscles stronger is by doing exercise that builds strength. Walking won't do it. Swimming certainly won't do it. Running won't do it. All those things are good for your heart. But if you don't also do exercise that builds strength, you'll have a healthy heart and a decrepit body. So there, first of all, muscle strength. And secondly, yes, she has increased the bone density of those women.
Well, that's amazing. I'm assuming yours has increased to be at the level of a 21-year-old now. Presumably it wasn't.
I imagine, but unfortunately, I hadn't tested it at the beginning.
I'm thinking that lifting weights is really hard and it might be really easy to give up. So if you're in a group like you are with other women or just like-minded people, I would imagine that keeps you going. Is that part of the fun of it, the camaraderie?
Yes, it's lovely to have a group of women who share the same enthusiasm for lifting. But I will say that it's easy to remain motivated in this sport because it's easy to see when you're making progress, because you can add a tiny bit almost every week. So every week I add maybe 1.25 kilos to my squat, and to my bench press I might add even less. and you can see the weights gradually going up. And so it's very motivating because you've got a very clear metric to see what's going on. But of course, yes, it's very empowering and supportive to have a group of women who lifts together. By the way, I remember the name of that Facebook group. It's pretty simple. It's Powerlifting Women. I've had a couple of lung infections this year. I was premature and I've always had reduced lung capacity. My lungs didn't develop properly. So when I get a lung infection, it hits me pretty hard. So last year in May, I did manage to squat 100 kilos, 220 pounds, but I haven't been able to do it again since because I got ill. And so I'm only up to about 90 kilos now.
That's almost twice your body weight, isn't it?
Not quite, but I do think on the deadlift, I'm going to make twice my body weight this year.
That's incredible. You're still adding. I mean, you haven't got to the point where you're having to think, now I've just got to maintain it. You're still adding weights.
Absolutely.
At 72, and how long do you think you'll carry on?
There are no records in the 90-year plus category, so I've got something to aim for.
But there are records in the 80 plus.
Oh, no, I don't think so, actually.
You're getting to the top of the age groups.
Yes, I am, but that's great. One of my aims is to give all those younger women who are coming after me some records to bust.
Too right. I love it, Catherine. That's a brilliant point on which to stop. Thank you so much. Thank you for talking with us and giving your time to us. It's very, very inspiring and motivating. Thanks a lot.
It's a great pleasure.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And that's our show for this week. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another inspiring guest. In the meanwhile, be sure to subscribe to Wisp Sports on your podcast player. The show notes for this episode can be found on the Boulder Woman show page at wispsports.com. And while you're on the website, you'll find a lot more coverage of women's sports, from podcasts to videos, interviews and blogs covering all sports around the world. Do follow us and let us know what you think. Share your comments on social media at Wisp Sports and at Alex Rotas. And we really would love to hear from you. So if you've any suggestions for guests, that would be awesome. Or you'd like to tell us what you think of the show, drop us a line to info@wispsports.com. So until the next time, thank you so much for listening. We're aware that there are so many good podcasts out there, so thank you for listening to us. And thank you for supporting women in sport everywhere.
This is your moment.